Today, I'm going to show you how to make the perfect pork ribs on your drum smoker. So we're going to start by opening up your package. I get my meats from Costco. Seem to be the best value, the best quality. I personally don't take the membrane off my ribs. Helps save time, and I haven't really noticed a difference. I always try to make sure I have a clean surface prepared. I tend to prepare my ribs in the sink. Obviously it's a clean sink. It just makes cleanup much easier. I use mustard as a binder. It's pretty common. I'm using my own sweet and spicy pork rub here. I call it Red Line Rib Rub. Pretty sweet up front, and at the end it finishes with a nice cayenne pepper spice. Next, we're going to wrap our ribs. I like to prepare these the night before. Just kind of helps the rub and the flavor really set in and provide a good base for you. Make sure that's nice and tight and sealed, and shove it in your fridge. When you're ready to get your smoker going, you're going to pull those ribs out of the fridge, take the foil off. We're going to get some hooks here, and we're going to find the bigger point of the rib, and you're going to go right below the first or the second bone. Either one's fine, just as long as it's sturdy. You're going to hook those right in. I've seen people use 2 hooks. I've not had any bad experiences with just using 1 hook, but maybe that's dependent on the kind of ribs you use. I don't know. 1 hook works just fine for me. Okay, those are prepared. We're good to go there. Next, we're going to get our fire started. I'm using charcoal briquettes and 4 chunks of apple wood. We're going to get our smoker up to temp. When our smoker is up to temp, within 25 degrees or so, we're going to get our ribs hung on these hooks. I noticed that I left the heat shield on, but after this video I actually removed the heat shield and rehung the ribs. But make sure you remove that heat shield so the juice and the drippings and the fat can drip into the charcoal and send it back up through the smoke and give you that amazing charred charcoal and wood flavored taste that these drum smokers are known for with pork ribs. Okay, we're just going to close the smoker now. Alright, so we're going to open our smoker. We're going to see where we're at. It's been about 30 minutes. And I'm going to spritz those with apple cider vinegar, give it a good douse. And you're going to do this for about 2 hours. Okay, so every 30 minutes, you're going to open your smoker, make sure it's quick, so you're not letting out too much heat. Do note that the more air that goes into it, the hotter it could get right off the bat after you close it. So, yep. And just to note here, like I said, we're doing this every 30 minutes, and we're going to rotate them. And like I said, I almost forgot to rotate them here. And I feel like a good way to rotate them is just, clockwise. Nothing fancy. I try to keep them, I like to keep them over the coals. I feel like it helps with that flavor. You will get a little bit of a burnt end doing it with this hanging method, but it still is an amazing flavor at the end, especially after you coat it with some barbecue sauce and the apple cider vinegar. It helps a lot. So no need to worry there if you're concerned about burning the ends of your ribs. Okay, so we've hit the 2-hour mark at this point. I'm just gonna temp them, and they were temping about 174, 173 at this point. So they're ready to be wrapped. I'm gonna go ahead and close it. I'm gonna grab my gloves. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these off the smoker. Make sure you use gloves. You will burn yourself. Those hooks are very hot. As you can see, those coals down there are smoking. Okay. And after this, we're going to prepare our smoker to lay the ribs out on top after they've been wrapped. So I'm going to remove these hooks. As you can see here, I've left the smoker open a little bit longer than I would like, and you can see the fire kind of picking up a little bit. But that's okay, because after I lay this heat deflector down in the grate, it's going to take me a few minutes to wrap these ribs with some butter, some brown sugar, and some additional rub. Okay, we're going to place that grate back on. We're going to let the smoker kind of dial back into temp while we unhook these ribs. Okay, so I'm just going to lay some butter down on a sheet of foil. Put some brown sugar down. This creates an amazing, tasty, sticky bark. And then I like to add some of my red line rib rub down as well. Okay, you can do the same thing on top. Make sure you get both sides, coat it pretty well. I don't feel like you can go too much on this with the brown sugar and butter. Add a little bit more rub. Okay, and we're going to cover it with foil. I recommend 2 sheets of foil, or if you got some extra wide foil, 1 should be enough. And you're going to do this for each rib, or excuse me, you're going to do this for each rack of ribs. Alright, so we've wrapped our ribs, our smoker is back dialed into temp, our grate is ready to go on top, and we're just going to place these ribs right on the grate. Looking really good here. Make sure they sit evenly as much as possible. If not, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it does help just a little bit to keep those juices and stuff in the oil. Okay, we're going to close it. And at this point, it's been about 3 hours and 45 minutes to 4 hours. I poked them a couple of times. They are probing tender about 203. Similar to a brisket, you know, they got a probe tender. Okay, I'm gonna pull them off here. Like I said, I'm using some gloves here. I don't want to burn myself. These are very hot. Be very careful when you're pulling them off the smoker. Because they are tender, those ribs can break. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but you know, if you're like me, you want to present it nicely, maybe take a couple of photos for social media. Okay, we're going to unwrap these ribs. They are very hot, so I'm using a pair of metal tongs to pull them out. Like I said, just support them a little bit, be very careful. You can take your aluminum foil at this point and throw it away. Feel free to kind of pour a little bit of the juice over the ribs. This is a homemade barbecue sauce. It's a bit of mixture of a Kansas City and a Carolina sauce. It's like sweet and a little vinegary. You're going to put a pretty good coating on. Not a ton of barbecue sauce, but a decent amount. Make sure you coat it everywhere. We don't want to miss any of the good areas. All right, grab your tongs. We're going to flip those ribs around again. Now you're going to get the underside of the ribs. And same thing. Don't feel bad about using a little bit more than you think, but don't coat them like crazy. And maybe that's a subjective thing. The beauty of barbecue is you can do what you want. And lastly, we're going to place our rib back on the smoker. Make sure they're placed evenly. And we're just going to place them here for about 15 minutes, let the barbecue sauce tack up. And after about 15 minutes, you should have some delicious ribs. And there you have it. Delicious smoked pork ribs in your drum smoker. Thanks for watching.